Hey guys, I'm Jeremy, or as a few of you might know me, Justice. I want to thank you for taking the time to check out the first, episode of Hall of Justice. So let me just give you a real quick rundown of what this is and why I'm doing it. For a long time now, I've been writing for 10 Ton Hammer, a lot of different topics. I've done a lot of editorials, among other things. And in those, I generally try to be pretty fair, pretty open-minded. Sometimes I do have strong opinions about things, and I'll make those known, but try to keep things pretty civil. I wanted to do something a little different here with video-based columns so that I can be, let's say, a little more direct about my feelings on certain topics. As you can see here, there's no fancy lighting, just whatever the sun is naturally providing me, no green screen, no fancy backgrounds. I really just wanted this to be a very honest, very direct, I'd say conversation, but I guess monologue, really, between me and you. This is not intended to be anything fancy. This is, there's certain times where, in written content, I really do feel that I want to maintain my professionalism, and I will keep doing that. But this is an opportunity, as I said, to just be a little more honest. In the ways I feel about certain things. So I'm looking forward to doing this regularly, and I hope you guys enjoy. So let's dive right into our very first episode, which is going to focus on how other people's perception of a game can affect you. And to do that, and to give us a solid talking point, this applies to really any game or even non-games, but to give us that real good starting point, we're going to be focusing today on Hearthstone. Hearthstone is an immensely popular game. It's played by many people, and as far as I know, I believe it's still growing. So from my personal perspective, I really enjoy the game. I've spent a fair bit of time on Hearthstone within the last few months or so when I started to pick it up. I've really enjoyed the game. I've really gotten into it, like deeply into it. I went from knowing almost nothing about the game to watching a bunch of streams, watching tournaments, really being deep in the metagame, actually trying to climb the ladder for a few months now. So I've really gotten into it. With that said, I'm a fan of the game, but I'm not delusional. I don't think the game is perfect. I do think there are certainly some glaring flaws, some things that should probably be addressed. So I will be the first to admit the game has its problems, as just about any game does. What I will not say is, oh, Hearthstone sucks, and the team behind it doesn't care about it at all, and anyone who enjoys the game is stupid, and how could anyone possibly like this game? These are all sentiments that I've seen expressed by supposed fans of the game. So here's where the psychology of the group comes in. It was pretty recently, and I want to say it was last week, which is when I originally intended to film this episode, but some technical issues made it a little bit later than I wanted, but it's still pretty relevant. Particularly if you went on the Hearthstone subreddit, and for any of you who know, going on Reddit for anything is a real quick way to kill your enthusiasm for something. But going on the Hearthstone subreddit, all of a sudden, it seemed like every other thread was not just a gripe about the game, because I don't mind that, but taking it to the extreme of because of X problem, Hearthstone is terrible, it's an awful game, how could anyone play it? There was a post on the front page, it almost made top, it was maybe halfway down the front page, of does anyone even enjoy this game anymore? That was the title. No one enjoys the game. Literally 0 people still have any fun with this game. What a reasonable question. That's stupid. Okay? But it gets to the front page. Why? Because it creates a dumb discussion. A discussion nonetheless. But it speaks to the sentiment, and it just seemed like over and over threads were pouring in. A pro here, a pro there, were talking about how they don't enjoy the game anymore. And people jumped on that. See? This professional even, someone who's getting paid to play doesn't even enjoy it. Why should I? Why should you? Never mind the fact that that made up a very small percentage of the professional player population, and most of them have said nothing about not enjoying the game. But the couple that did, people latched onto it. Why is that? It's because they felt frustrated with the game. because they don't enjoy playing against a particular deck, because they don't enjoy losing. What I have learned, after spending a lot of time now, being deeply immersed in a variety of competitive games, people hate losing. A lot. And if they ever lose to another player, ever, there has to be an outside reason for it. Not because they were outplayed, not because the other player was better or has spent more time with the game, but because the game is unbalanced, or the design team has no idea what they're doing, things like that. But to not get too off topic, again, I want to go back to the psychology of this. Why is it all of a sudden, after most of the popular R Hearthstone threads were not, this is the worst game ever made, why is it that suddenly we had a huge explosion of these threads? And again, this is where we come back to the psychological aspect of it. To give you an idea, in my first year of college, took just a beginner psych course. And while I don't remember much of it, what I do remember is one presentation that I gave. And I'm just going to give you a very, very quick synopsis of just a part of it. I recreated an experiment that I had read about, that had been done previously. In this experiment, what I did was I took a slide from a projector on the wall, and there were two lines on the slide, one of which was clearly longer than the other, not by a huge margin, but one line is this long, one line is this long, whatever. Enough that it was clear. And what I did was, before my presentation, I secretly instructed, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 students sitting in the front row, that I was going to ask them which line was longer, and I instructed them to give me the wrong answer. If, say, line A was longer, I told them to tell me line B was longer when I asked them. So I go through my presentation, this was about halfway through, and I asked them, without any context, just which line is longer. And because I told them to, they all gave me the wrong answer. I then turned to one girl who I had not spoken to before the presentation. She had no idea that she was part of the experiment. I asked her which line was longer. She also said B, the wrong line. Why? Well, it wasn't because she thought it was actually longer. It was clearly not. It was because everyone around her had said that line B was longer. So if she had said, well, line A is longer, well, now she's the outcast. She's the one with the unpopular opinion, and she's afraid of being judged for it. So that is really the big thing. And my air conditioner just came on. I hope that doesn't interfere with the sound quality. If it does, super sorry. But that was the point. It's not about being right or wrong. It's not about looking at the obvious and using that to draw a reasonable conclusion. It's about, what is everybody else saying? Because if I'm not part of that group, I'm the outcast. And I think maybe not all of us, but a lot of us, particularly as gamers, probably know what it's like at one point or another in our lives to feel like an outcast, to feel like we're on the outside of the group. It's not a great feeling. We don't want that. So when the front page of our Hearthstone is flooded by negative threads, it's not that every player of the game suddenly hates it. It's that the only people that are posting are the ones that want to post a negative opinion, because now they're part of the majority. And as soon as that stops, they all stop at the same time, because now that's the unpopular opinion. And that's being part of the minority. So they all drop off. So that's why you will see this huge influx all at once, and then them all leave. As soon as League of Explorers was announced, suddenly that's all you see on the front page. And now all these complaining threads are gone. And I think one of the best examples that I saw, and honestly it made me laugh pretty hard, there was a post just a couple days or so ago on the front page of our Hearthstone, which the title was something along the lines of, "New player for 2 weeks, here's why I can't stand the game," or "why I'm quitting," something like that. And just had a ridiculous, something about randomness or this or that. One of the arguments you keep hearing being spouted. And, claiming I'm a new player for 2 weeks, but I can't deal with it, and other players, have these legendary cards, and I don't, so this game is terrible. And that's a flawed argument on its own. I actually just recently introduced a friend of mine to Hearthstone. Very recently. He has almost no cards in his collection. He's already hit rank 15. He has some previous experience with card games, sure. But He went from having nothing in Hearthstone. I actually gave him very little guidance, a little bit, but he mostly just took what the game gave him, asked me a little bit about, if I should disenchant this card or craft this card or whatever, but he hasn't crafted any legendaries. I don't even think he's crafted any epics. He's pretty much just running with rares and commons, and he's hit rank 15. Which, A, tells you that this game is not as horrible for new players as you might think. For new players that know nothing about a card game, yeah, of course it's going to be harder. But the point is, if you really want it, if you're really interested in getting better, you can. So please throw that argument out the window. Secondly, getting back to this Reddit post, the top comment was some beautiful, beautiful human being who had went back through the history of the person that had posted this thread and found that a year ago they posted on our Hearthstone about this game that they played that was totally unfair because they played against someone of terrible skill who only played like 1 and 2 cost minions, and he lost to it because all he drew were his late game minions, and this game is dumb because it's all about randomness. This was, way before a lot of the random effects people complain about now. And in the comments, this guy also, the original poster, also says something along the lines of, I don't know how anyone could ever enjoy a card game because of things like this. Because he was so much better than this other guy. But it was just all about the luck of the draw, so he lost, and this is a terrible game. That was a year ago. And now a few days ago, he posted he's a new player that just started 2 weeks ago. And this is why he hates the game. This was done only for fake internet points. Only reason he made this post. And it worked. It got to the front page of the subreddit. So, basically, through all this, my main point to you is this. Sometimes, it's going to seem like a majority feels a certain way. Sometimes, all you're going to see is negative, or all you're going to see is positive. Life as a whole is never that black and white. Nothing is ever 100% great or 100% awful. Yeah, you can use things like social media, Reddit, all those things to inform yourself, to open yourself to other ideas, from other people, and that's great. But just because you see 20 threads all telling you a game sucks, if before that you kind of thought maybe you liked that game, even if you didn't think it was perfect, even if you had your own complaints about that game, don't let those dumb people shape your opinion of something you like. Because chances are in a week, all those posts are going to be gone, and once again, there's going to be a lot of posts about people that actually enjoy the game. And in the end, if you're looking at Reddit or a particular group on Facebook or, some tweets on Twitter or whatever, keep in mind that even if it seems like everyone on there is agreeing, they are, in the end, actually a small percentage of the player base. They're just the ones that happen to be the most vocal. And you know who generally is the most vocal on any subject? The people who want to be negative. That's who. Because the people that want to be positive don't always feel the need to take to Reddit about it. They're just sitting there playing and enjoying the game. So whether it's Hearthstone or any other game or anything in life, you enjoy it, even if you don't think it's perfect. Don't just jump on the train of, oh, everyone hates it now, so I'd better hate it too. That's stupid, and you're stupid. But you know what? You're not stupid. You're smarter than that. You know better. And if you didn't before, you do now. So basically, my message is this. If you enjoy a game, go enjoy it. Don't worry about joining on the hype train on Reddit of how terrible it is. Don't worry about what other people are saying. Look at the facts, and look at what you enjoy. Have fun, and game.